Hi folks, how are we doing? Welcome back to another episode of An Idiot on Board. I'm an idiot, and today I'm back on board with my bike, Wibble! If you all remember from my last video, old Wibble here was a little bit poorly. She'd shat her clutch, and yeah, we had to start fixing her. And got it all out, and to be honest, it was quite funny actually, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I was literally just trying to use my tools that I'd carry with me on the trail. So yeah, and it all went a bit peaked on, but we'll see. So come along now and have a look, and we're about to start getting her fixed. Actually, I think my bike went off the run in something like May. I can't remember, but anyway, it's been stood for months, just feeling sorry for itself. So I've got my MOT due on the 13th of August, and today is the 1st. And hopefully I'm taking a few Himalayans on a Trans-European trail run in August as well, on the 15th-ish, something like that. So I've got to get the bike sorted by then. So it's going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens. So as it stands at the minute then, she's still clutchless, so I've got to get that sorted. I've got the clutch basket here. I've put all the new friction plates, new steels in, new springs in. And I will show you something with this actually, because it's quite interesting. I had to speak to Wayne Noble actually, because he's done a few now, and he did give me a warning about this, which I hadn't noticed. And to be fair, it's not clear in the workshop manual, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. And then I've got to do something with this plate, because if you remember last time, I just unscrewed it slowly and it went ding, and I lost all my springs everywhere, and it was a bit of a mess. So we'll do more on that in a minute. But yeah, so at the minute she's completely clutchless, so I've got to get that sorted. I've got to sort out the clutch cable because that is completely seized. What else we got? So I've been stripping her all down to give her a fresh new look. So at the minute, as she stands, she's got no side bags on the sides now, so I'm going to leave those off. And where they used to attach, I'm going to get some crash bars and some crash bungs in there just to help out a little bit. The chain is in dire need of some TLC. Don't know if you can see that very well, but yeah, the old chain is a bit rusty, and all these gubbins need cleaning up and re-lubing and everything. So fair old bit to do. Battery, typical Enfield battery, but to be fair, it's been sat for months, so I'm not surprised that's died. So I may need a new one. I'm hoping not, but may need a new one. Brakes, so I've got to sort the brakes out. These haven't been done on the recall yet, so I do need to get those sorted. But for now, I'm just going to clean them up and re-lube and that and get them done. Working on the front end, like I said, so I'm just, you can see that very well. So I'm just sorting out a bracket. So I'm making up a bracket for the front headlight, and I'm about to make up a bracket for the speedo sensor as well. So everything's then mounted to the forks. So I know there's a chap that does them from Crown Works, but lots of people have been asking about them, and it seems like they're it's either he's not making them anymore or they're out of stock. So I've had to come down and make my own. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. One thing to note is that before we replace the clutch, you want to soak everything in oil. So all of the plates and all the clutch friction plates have been soaked in oil, and I've wiped oil on the steels as well before they went in. So what I wanted to show you was when we put this all together. These the steels, they're made out of like a sheet of pressed steel, and what you find is you get one side that's a little bit sharp and one side that's a little bit rounded. So when they go into the bike, ideally you want them all facing the same way. But to be honest with you, whether it makes a great deal of difference, I don't know, but it's just an old mechanicking trick that I learned when I was at Yamaha, and it was just something that seemed to be done all the time. Perhaps it's to try and reduce sort of wear on them or something like that. But ideally the sharp side of it, so i.e. when the press comes down into the steel sheet and it presses it like that, you'll have a rounded edge and then a sharp edge underneath where it's cut. That sharper edge is the edge that wants to be facing out towards the bike. So i.e. when the clutch sits in there, they all want to be facing the same way with the sharp edge out this way. That's just kind of my thought on it. So all you're doing is you're doing it by feel. So if you run your finger over, one side feels quite sharp and then the other side feels relatively smooth. And then when you figured it out which one's sort of rounded and smooth and which one's sharp, you need to make sure all the sharp edges are facing the same way. So the way I've done it here is, because this here is going to, so the basket there goes into the bike like that, and then the clutch assembly goes into the basket, which then sits on the bike. So all the sharp edges I've put down onto the assembly, which means that they'll then be facing out the bike when it's all back together. Okie dokie, so now I'm starting to put the plates and everything back onto the bike, and I just want to show you something. Now, I did have to speak to Wayne about this, so Wayne, I'm trusting you, mate, because to be honest with you, it kind of looks like what he said in the manual, but you can't really tell because the pictures aren't great and the translation's not great either. But so as the plates go back in, 5 of the friction plates go into one channel all the way down, and then the very last one is offset to the rest, and it sits on a bit of a ledge.